We're going to be discussing the role and we're going to be discussing the role of leadership in Islam, in the Islamic perspective. Sorry. Now, my first question here is, what would you say leadership is in layman terms?
Okay, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Amin. In my own definition and in layman's definition, since you said we should do it in layman's definition, leadership is, emanates from the fact that human beings are social animals. If we reverse back from, the human interaction that we have, at the base level, we're actually social animals. And there are other animals beside us in the animal kingdom that are also social animals, and they live in communities, and they have their own clans and their own family settings. So it is innate for humans, being social animals, to actually have a leader who leads the pack, who leads the community, who leads the clan. So to me, leadership is just having a person or a group of people, because leadership sometimes doesn't mean having an individual, but it can be an organization or a body that leads and speaks to the wider community, gives a sense of direction and a sense of goal and a sense of purpose to the clan, to the community, and if we expand it to a wider scope, to the society and the nation. So I think a person who finds himself or herself in that position is a person who is called a leader. And as I said, it doesn't have to be an individual. It can be a collective group of individuals or organizations who have saddled with this responsibility of leading the rest of the society. So I believe in lay terms that is who or whom leaders are.
Thank you very much. I believe the audience now understands what leadership or who a leader is. Thank you for that explanation, Abdurrahman. Now, my next question is, who will you say is the best model of leadership?
Well, definitely as a Muslim, and speaking on the Islamic background, I will say the beacon of leadership is going to be As-Sadiq al-Wadul Amin, Sayyidina wa Habibi Qulubana, Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet of God, Prophet Muhammad, is definitely the beacon for who a leader is, because both as a person and as a person who brought forth ideals, is a person who has emanated not just in words but in actions of who a leader is and what responsibilities a leader is saddled with. And throughout his life, he has proven over and over again that for a person to be a leader, he has to keep his own personal fulfillment or his own personal goals aside and inspire his people to see beyond their lifespans. I mean, today there are over 1.7 billion Muslims in the world. So that is, if you average it on the number of total world population, which is around 7 billion people, this means that for 1 out of every 5 person, if you do a random pick, will end up being a Muslim. So for a person to have influence, over 1.5 billion humans today from all across the world, and this is a person that have passed away over 1,000 years ago, is something that's truly amazing. And I think it's the kind of person that if you want to give a definition of who a leader is, even outside Islamic context, is a person that I believe is a beacon of who a leader is.
Thank you very much. Now, you've talked about who you see as the beacon of leadership, which is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, I'll ask you, what would you say is the principle of leadership based upon?
Okay, so the principle of leadership, I think, goes way back to when the first man was created. Of course, we are talking about Islamic perspective, and I believe even those that are tuning to watch this program that might not be Muslims generally might belong to one of the three Abrahamic faiths, which is either being a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew. And all the three major religions share a common genealogy through Prophet Abraham, and to a larger extension through Prophet Adam, who happens to be the first human created by God. So the concept of leadership actually goes to when Prophet Adam was created. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran that he was narrating to the angels when he created Prophet Adam, that I'm going to put on this earth a Khalifa. A Khalifa is a vice vicegerent, a person who is going to be a leader on this world, on earth. I'm going to create a human being, and I'm going to make this human being the apex creature that we are going to put on this earth. I believe that is where the concept of leadership started, because human beings on the whole are the apex creature, and they are the ones that define the direction that other creatures on the earth goes. Of course, angels didn't understand or didn't get the full concept of what God was saying when he said that he's going to create a human being and make him a vice versa on earth. And they asked a question. They asked a question in the direction of, you are putting a person on this earth who is going to cause a lot of mischief, and he's going to cause a lot of bloodshed. And in the Holy Quran, they narrated that that despite the fact that we have never committed any crime, we always follow you, always obey you, why do you still have to create a leader and put him on earth when you already have creatures like us who obey you and follow your every command? Then he told them that, I know what you don't know. And when he created him and he brought him in front of the angels for him to showcase why he needed to create him, the first characteristics he gave him was وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَائِهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. He asked them, when he created them, he gave him a knowledge, Alhama, he gave him an inbuilt knowledge. When he was created, he gave him knowledge about everything. So if you are to bring Prophet Adam, if we can digress, if you are to bring him today in this world, and you point a computer to him or you point to a camera, he will tell you what it is, because God has already installed that knowledge on him. And he brought a number of things in front of him, and he told the angels that, you should tell me what these things are. None of them knew. They said, Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. We didn't know. Then God said, oh Adam, Amba'hum bi asma'ihim, tell them the name of these things. And he started mentioning them. This is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. And then when he finished, God told them that, you see, I told you I know what you don't know. So having knowledge, actually, and having experience and having a wide scope of affairs is actually one of the cardinal things of being a good leader. And that transcended to even our day-to-day activities, what we do today. It's good that the person who is going to be a leader is a person who, of course, has a sense of direction and has a sense of knowing where, the sense of purpose that the community or the group of people or organizations that he is leading needs to have. So, to me, back to the question, is the concept of leadership started even before we got to the other prophets, and even before we got to modern times where we have various modes of electing leaders. It started, it's part of innate nature of not just human beings, but all social creatures. Lions have leaders. Other animals that are social animals like us also have leaders, even though they are not humans, but being a social animal synonymizes that organism with having a form of leadership.
Thank you very much. Now, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ decreed, as stated in the hadith, that the leader of the people is their servant. Now, can you shed more light on this hadith?
Okay, so when we talk about leadership, most people look at leadership as you have to be in an elected position, especially for modern humans. You have to be a governor or a minister or a senator or or any other elected position, or a traditional leader. But actually, leadership transcends that. Being a leader can go as basic as being a husband, head of the family, maybe a respected elder in the community, maybe even a first child in the family, right? Leadership goes a lot of ways. It can even be a spiritual leader. Okay, it's a person that might not have any political power, but he has a spiritual power, so he's categorized as a leader. So despite the kind of leadership position a person finds himself or herself, he is in that position to lead. He is in that position to serve. And the characteristics of having a leader are 8 things. If we look at the whole thing widely, a person who finds himself in position of leadership, or organization that finds themselves in a position of leadership, should be able to give or offer 8 characteristics. One of them being guidance. A person who is leading has to guide the subject that he is leading. He has to show them a sense of, there needs to be a sense of guidance. There needs to be a sense of a person who other people look up to. He's the one providing the guidance. He's the one providing the mood on which he feels that the community should be carried along. The second thing, riding on the back of guidance, has to be with direction. The leader has to give a sense of direction of where he sees the community advancing. Because at the end of the day, being a leader means advancing people from where they are to a place of higher importance or higher significance. So the leader has to provide that direction. The third one is the leader has to give a sense of goal. Okay, you are leading a group of people or individuals or organization towards a particular direction. Now, what is the end goal, right? What is the end goal? As a leader, the leader has to provide this direction, that this is the goal. This is what we are trying to achieve. We are trying to become prosperous, right? And then this is the road that I feel as a leader, that if I give you a direction towards this goal, that we are going to achieve prosperity. We are going to achieve security. We are going to achieve happiness. We are going to achieve peace and tranquility. So leader has to provide that. Also, there needs to be plan. Now we have a goal, we have a direction. Now what is the plan? Are we going to achieve everything in one go? No, definitely. There are short-term goals and there are long-term goals. There are short-term directions that we can follow to achieve the bigger ones, and this is the one that we feel take preference to become a leader. The other one is also offering solution. Now, as a leader, you don't have to be the Mr. Know-it-all, and that's the mistake a lot of people make. Leadership is a privilege. There are people most definitely within that community or within that group of individuals or government or society that you are guiding that might be more knowledgeable than you are, but you are saddled with the responsibility of leadership, and you have to give solution either through your own experience or through bringing in other caliphs, other people that are going to help you to achieve this goal. So bringing the brightest minds in diverse fields to achieve these goals and direction is what a leader is. So all of these things go hand in hand. Also, there is another thing of vision and motivation. So as a leader, you have to inspire. You have to lead by example. And that is where the conversation of being a leader, being a servant of the people comes. The leader has to serve the people, and he has to show the people that he can go above and beyond more than any other person to ensure that he achieves what he wants to achieve. And when you look back, you see that a lot of wars, both through Islamic history and through modern history, a lot of wars that were fought and were victorious were led by individuals or by groups of people who have inspired those people to go and take the barrel of the gun, put their lives at risk to achieve a particular goal. So a leader needs to inspire his people or her people that this is what we are fighting for, and this is something that we are fighting for that is bigger than me. It is about you. So you have to be a leader. You have to put yourself in a position of motivating others to see a bigger cause and a bigger goal. But of course, this sits on two legs. And again, I will go back and visit the story of Moses When Moses had the little issue of border in Egypt, and he has to flee, he has to become a felon and flee the country of Egypt due to, fear of persecution by Pharaoh. He wandered the land, and he ended up finding himself at a city called Madian. When he got there, he met two young ladies who were by the well. They were trying to fetch water for their animals. He helped them get the water, and then he told them his own story, and he asked them that, why are you here, the two of you, as young women? Don't you have like a male person who is more in a better position to do this task? And they told him that, "Qala abana shaykhun azim." Our father is like, the only person that's male is our father, and our father Shaykhun Azim is like a very, very old man. He's an old man, and he's at home. So we want to take you to him to go and so that he can thank you for this gesture that you did for us. And they ended up taking him to their father, who happens to be Professor Shuaib. And when they got there, they told the father that this is the young man that helped us fetch water to feed the animals, and we wanted to bring him over. And he ended up asking him his story, and he told him that this what happened, and this how he ended up being here, leaving Egypt and coming here. Then one of them in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 26, Surah Al-Qasas, verse 26, she said, قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجرته إن خير من استأجرته القوي الأمين. One of the young women said to her father, "Ya abati, oh our father, please hire him for us. Make him a shepherd. Let him be the one leading this our little venture we have of taking care of these animals. For verily, inna khayra man ista'jarta, verily, the most rewarding of being saddled with responsibility of leadership in any form has to be al-qawi, a person who is strong, and al-amin, a person who is trustworthy." Now, strength goes in the direction of physical strength, of course, but we're not talking about physical strength being a person who can subdue anybody, because definitely one person cannot use physical might to rule over 100 million people or 200 million people or 10 people. But he has to have vigor. He has to have intellectual strength. He has to have mental alertness. He also has to have very strong character and morals, because these are things that define a leader. In Nigeria, for instance, if we can use our country as an example, there are over 2 million Nigerians living today.
200.
Over 200 million Nigerians living today. And each one of them will have his or her own idea of how he feels the nation should be run. The businessman will give you, this is the way I feel the country should be run. A banker will tell you this is how he feels the run. Student will tell you that these are the things. But again, you can't satisfy all. But you have a leader who should have a strong conviction that this is how I feel it is correct that we run and we make this place prosperous, and this is how I lead as a leader. And then be able to stand firmly by his decision. But of course, as a leader, his ears are open. Surrounding himself, when I spoke about having solution, surrounding himself by people who are well versed in their various fields will give him a more robust pool of ideas for him to pull from, advance the nation. But this lies on the second characteristics that was spoken by one of the leaders, and that is al-amin. Whatever decision the leader makes, he should have confidence that his people, his subject, have absolute trust in him. Because no matter how strong or how virile or how intellectually forward-thinking a leader is, if he doesn't have the buy-in and the support of his subject, then he is not a leader, and he's always going to face hurdles when he or she is leading. So these are the two principles on which the 8 principles that we discuss about, the 8 characteristics lie on. There needs to be trust of the populace, of the subject to their leaders, and there needs to be a sense of accountability from the leader to his people. And then the leader should also encompass the 8 characteristics that we mentioned earlier, that is guidance, communication, planning, goal, motivation, vision, direction, and solution. So I think that's my answer.
Thank you very much. Now, to digress a bit from the Islamic perspective, we are in a period of electing leaders for our country, Nigeria. Now, do you have any words for the people who will be voting for new leaders come 2023, and also the people who are in the race for the 2023 presidential seat? Now, do you have any words to give them?
Okay, so I want to put a disclaimer. I'm not a political expert. I'm not a
I know. But since we are talking about leadership, and
but I will say a thing or two based on my own view as a Nigerian, as a citizen who is a stakeholder in the forthcoming election. The first thing I want to advise is we look at it from the Islamic perspective. Anybody that we are going to vote for should be voted based on competence. In the past, we have been a nation that has been plagued by a lot of sentiments, be it regional sentiments, tribal sentiments, or religious sentiments. I'm not going to vote for him because he's not from my part of the country. He doesn't worship the same God that I do, or he doesn't speak the same language that I do. And we let that to blind us from the obvious thing of saying that we are parties or we are subjects of mismanagement of government, whether it be resources or whether it be individuals or leaders. We need to come together and vote for a person who we have a belief that sits in these 2 categories. Is he a person who we trust? And is he also a person that you feel like he is morally and he is mentally and psychologically sound to lead? I'm not going to point everybody to any direction, but if the person sits well by you, I think
some of the attributes that they need to look out for.
As a person who has this 8 things that we spoke about, I was thinking, is this a person that can guide us? We are facing a lot of we're in a precarious situation now. A lot of things are going on. We have security challenges, economic challenges, and there are also, on top of that, global challenges, economic challenges, where all countries in the world are going through their own form of economic hardship due to the recent issue we had with COVID-19. So is there a person that can guide us out of this to a better position? Is it a person who can also communicate his or her own thoughts for the general public to understand what he's trying to say? And we have this problem when you go to campaigns. We watch political campaigns on TV. Some of us have been fortunate enough to go to political rallies. Unfortunately, most of what you see is what is called negative partisanship in politics. That is, the leader will stand, the person seeking for position of power will stand on the podium and speak for 1 hour or 2 hours, and there's no substance. He is there generally criticizing the person from the other camp and telling you that you should not vote for the other person. He's a bad person. But again, he ended up tarnishing the image of the other person without providing the reason why he should be voted. So these are some of the cues that we need to look out for. The person comes to the campaign and he tells you that, oh, don't vote for this person from this other party because he is a thief, or he has these corruption allegations, or he have this. Okay, well, I've heard that. Now we'll not vote him. Why do we have to vote you as a leader instead of him? And then this is where accountability comes. The leader needs to be accountable to tell them that this is what I'm proposing, and this is what I want to do, and I feel like if we do this, we are going to end up in a better place. And on top of that, you spoke about presidential election. But at the same time, we're also doing gubernatorial elections.
Sure.
We're also doing election for members of House of Representatives and House of the Senate, House of Senate, yes. And then we're also doing for chairman of local government and even down to the councillors and other political offices. We need to have it at the back of our mind that it is just as important as voting for the president, because the president is here in Abuja, definitely. So you can't expect the president to have a magic wand to solve your problem when you are living in Imo or Enugu or Ibadan or in Kebbi or somewhere else. Those leaders that are close to you, your governors, your chairman of local government, these are people that you have access to, and then you can take your complaints to them, and then they forward it to the federation if there's something that's beyond them. So just as equally important as it is to vote for president, I think it's also very important we also pay attention to those races that are lower down the political hierarchy.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this beautiful explanation, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Thank you for coming. Now may Allah help us and guide us to choose the right leaders for our country. Now we have come to the end of today's program. Unfortunately, we would have kept on, but we have a time limit. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Islamic Perspective on Abuja City Journal TV with my guests Abdurrahman Adamu. Please don't forget to follow us for more stories on our website www.abujacityjournal.com, and follow us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Abuja City Journal. Now, please don't forget to join us next week for another episode of the Islamic Perspective. I am Fatima Bala Kawu. See you next time.